we're going to try an experiment and see if this works. And if it does work, we'll try it for the next couple of days. The middle part of the book of Revelation describes the events of the Great Tribulation. Under the images of the 7 seals that were broken off the scroll that we mentioned yesterday, 7 trumpet judgments followed by 7 bowl judgments. Rather than provide an interpretation of each of those events, I would like to point out some structural components of the book of Revelation. I've prepared this chart that we'll be looking at the next few days. I'll get out of the way when we get to that point. I'm going to leave it up to you to read the chapters and the verses because it's a lot of material there to read. But notice similarities and differences among the lists. And you can see this list as we go along later. But the seals on the scroll that we looked at yesterday are opened one by one. And what we see happening is what I'm calling man-made disasters are described here. The first seal is broken, a white horse comes out conquering and to conquer, warfare. The next seal is broken and a red horse comes out killing people, or people killing each other. Then the third seal is broken and a black horse comes out, and there's a disruption in the food chain. You can read that in verses 5 and 6. And then the fourth seal is broken and a pale horse comes out, and the name Death and Hades occurs. And this is important that a personal name is given because we're going to see personal names in the next 2 lists as well. We'll get there. And a fourth of the population is killed during this time as a result of the wars and the food disruption. Those number fractions are also important. Keep your eye on them. The fifth seal is broken, and we find the martyrs in heaven who have been slain because of their testimony of Jesus, crying out, "How long, O Lord, holy and true, will you refrain from judging and avenging our blood on those who dwell on the earth?" Let me stop there and just make a note that there are those who believe that when saints die, when Christians die, they enter a condition known as soul sleep, in which they are unconscious of things going on until the resurrection, and their souls are resurrected with their bodies. Not so according to this passage. Here we have souls, Christians, in heaven, and they are very much alive and aware and awake. They know what's going on. They see what's going on the earth, and they're crying out to the Lord, "How long does this have to go on?" So that was a little aside. Then the sixth seal is broken, and there's an earthquake, and the sun is blackened, the stars fall, the moon turns to blood. There are events in the universal realm. And then we find the description that people, even in spite of all of this, do not repent. Then in chapter 7, we find an interlude for that whole chapter, an interruption in the breaking of the seals, until we get to chapter 8, verse 1 through 5, when we find silence in heaven for half an hour. And then the prayers of the saints going up, and more of these universal phenomena. All right, that's enough for today. We'll pick up the trumpets tomorrow.